Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Character Day 2016. We got everything started last night, but we're in the full swing of things today on actual Character Day. If you'd like to participate in this conversation, we'll be taking questions at hashtag Character Day 2016. And we'll be having these conversations every half an hour with people from all over the spectrum talking about character traits and all of the things that we talk about on Character Day. So with that having been said, our next guest is Emiliya Zhivotovskaya, who is a trainer in positive psychology. She does trainings in 11 cities around the world, and she also does them online for anybody who doesn't have access to the cities where she's doing training. She also is the founder of the Flourishing Center and an overall coach and entrepreneur. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and hello everyone. Thank you for participating in Character Day.
Great. Can we start a little bit? I think that from what I understand, your biography, some of the aspects of your biography were really foundational in creating what you do as your work and your mission now. Can you talk a little bit about some of those formative moments in your early life, starting in the Ukraine and coming to here, and how they informed what you do? I know that's a humongous question, but let's start big.
Humongous question for 2 minutes. Ready, set, go. I'll tie it into character without a doubt. I mean, I was born in Kiev, Ukraine, about 90 miles from Chernobyl, right around the time of the explosion in Chernobyl, the fall of communism, and my family fled to create a better life for their kids, for their family, and definitely has informed my character and shaped who I am. In particular, coming in with this immigrant mentality where everything was a blessing. We felt very honored, very blessed to be able to create this world and this life. And of course, coming in where the world is your oyster, and some definite challenges and traumas and things that I faced as a child did inform who I am and how I am in the world today. In particular, when I was young, my brother, who was older than me, passed away. He had drowned in an accident trying to save his fiance's life, who was actually drowning at the time. And she survived and he passed away. And definitely that pivotal character moment that informs how I teach resilience, well-being, and the science of thriving to people today has to do with that moment in time where you know that you've got a choice as to how you're going to view the situation. And while I was 14 and knew nothing about positive psychology proper, most of what I had learned had come from watching movies and television, I knew that this was the point where the character of any good movie makes a decision about how they're going to see their life. Will they see it as an opportunity to somehow be a better person? Or was I going to go down the rabbit hole of self-doubt and shame and frustration and anger? So definitely some pivotal moments. And I think everything that I've done has led me to this place in helping my family deal with illness, being an entrepreneur starting from the age of 14 is when I first started my first job and career. And all of those things definitely inform who I am right now in my desire to help people accumulate the tools and the skills that can help them bounce back through life's challenges, to persevere through little minor challenges that we all go through on a day-to-day basis, so that we can feel more equipped to show up in the world the way that we want to. And so throughout my life, I was very, very blessed that I got introduced to the field of positive psychology in some of its early stages. I was part of the second graduating class that went through the master's degree with the founder of the field of positive psychology. So part of it was being in the right place at the right time, really early in the field. And then the rest of it is just a tremendous amount of hustle and hard work that I think I definitely got from my family, of our that kind of immigrant mentality of just you work your butt off and you just do what you need to do.
I think part of what's interesting about your story and what you do with yourself now is that can you talk a little bit about, I like this image of, am I going to go down this rabbit hole or this black hole of shame and depression and all of these things? You're really not talking about, I think some people have a kind of confusion about positive psychology that's just like smile all the time and everything is, you have to always be happy. But in fact, your biography and what you're saying is quite the opposite. You sort of face these black holes. Can you talk a little bit about what that means on a real level for somebody facing something hard or minor, but that may be big for them, and how to turn that towards something positive instead of just skipping over it and being like, yay, everything's fine.
Yeah, most people hugely misunderstand the word positive. Positive and positive psychology just means to not just get people out of the negative to get them to baseline. The idea is to work north of neutral. And so when people think of positive, they think positive thinking. But as I said before, it's not about that. It's about well-being. And oftentimes well-being is about resilience and moving through whatever it is that you're facing. Like the good old quote says, if you feel like you're going through hell, just keep going, Winston Churchill. And that is oftentimes what we need. So positive psychology is about, can you keep moving? We define digestive health as, can you move through the food and the things that you're absorbing into your body? Can you absorb the nutrients and excrete that which you don't need? Well, life is the same way. Mental health is the same way. Can you take your life experiences and be able to work with them? Because the problem with any one experience is not the actual emotion or the experience. Sadness is a beautiful human emotion that we feel when we believe we've lost something. When you get stuck in sadness, when you stop moving through your life experience, it becomes depression. Worry is an amazing emotion. It is an emotion that protects us. It keeps us safe. It stops me. I'm here in Adelaide, where I'm in Australia, where I'm usually from New York. And so I have to keep reminding myself, look left, because I don't look in the right direction trying to cross the street. If I didn't have that worry tendency, I might have been hit by a trolley today. And so when we get stuck in worry becomes anxiety. So we define well-being as not being positive and only focusing on the good things. It's important for us to balance out this tendency that our brain is wired to mainly focus on what's not working. And part of owning your own character, being purposeful about your decisions, about how you show up in the world, is knowing that, yes, I want to amplify the positive in my life because it's usually there. I'm just not on the lookout for it. And then the other element is, again, can you show up in the world the way that you want to? Can you feel the way that you want to feel and be able to move through the things that life brings you?
It seems like there's sort of what you're saying in a way, that positive is less about happiness, but about motion, about moving through, or you're not saying like positive psychology means you'll be happy necessarily.
Yeah, positive psychology is the scientific study of optimal functioning. It studies what enables people to function well in the world. And it's a descriptive science, meaning scientists sit there and they test and they explore what are things that we know that help people, again, get themselves moving forward, moving to have the life that they want to be living, to have more meaning, to have more purpose, to have better relationships. And definitely happiness is just one small piece of it. We talk about happiness as just, I feel cheerful, versus I feel content and satisfied with my life. So positive psychology really is about flourishing, about thriving, about resilience, about engagement, and again, feeling that you're living a life where you're functioning well in the world.
We were just previous to you talking to Julie Lithcott-Hames, who has written a book about how to raise children to be adults. And I'm curious, in your trainings, I imagine you're working mostly with adults. How do you create that space where people are understanding that they're acquiring tools, that you're not able, your trainings, I imagine you're not like just telling them exactly how to be positive, but you somehow have to create a space like she's talking about with kids where they grow into these skills they need.
Yeah. You mean you don't think we just like sit there and hypnotize them and don't make them drink?
Why not?
Yeah, they program the chip right into their brain and they just start reciting. No, I'm just kidding.
That's easy.
So the basis of our model is a very simple one for how people thrive, and that's self-awareness enables self-compassion, which enables self-care, which enables more self-awareness. So this ecosystem is a self-reinforcing process, that the way to hold space. I had one of my students ask us that recently. It's like, what does that mean to hold space for people? It's like the new age term, right? It's like, I'm going into an interview, will you hold space for me? Or, she's going through a tough time, I'm holding space for her. It's like, what does that actually mean? And how do we create this container? And obviously, when it comes to relationships, the container has to be based on foundation of trust, on a foundation of non-judgment, on a foundation of curiosity and of positivity. And the way that we create that for our students, that they are then able to take on these tools, as we focus on teaching them awareness of how the mind works, how the body works. That involves knowing what you've evolved for, knowing how your thoughts affect your feelings, affect your actions. The more you can know about yourself, the more you can actually have compassion for yourself, your tendencies, for times that we have very human moments of criticizing ourselves or comparing ourselves or worrying, even though that it's not helpful. And then with that, it's not enough just to have self-awareness and compassion. You need to have tools for how to support yourself. And that's what we then offer. And as people test out those tools, really treating ourselves as our own test subject, an N of one, an experiment of one, and you try on these different tools, you gain self-awareness. What works for one person is not going to work for others. And again, sometimes the challenge people don't recognize with positive psychology, or what we call positive interventions, is it's not a one-size-fits-all model. For some people, they'll get tremendous benefit from gratitude practices. And for others, it'll be through mindfulness. And others will try mindfulness and feel like it is just not for them. And they're going to need more of a moving meditation and get their whole body involved. So the way that people do transform and embrace these tools over time is through a process of gathering awareness, compassion, and care, and really emphasizing that self-care is healthcare, and that's the ultimate of healthcare that we can take on for ourselves.
Now, when I think of young people and teenagers especially, and I think of myself as a teenager, neither of those three things were ever like at the top of the list of things that I was good at, you know, self-awareness, self-care, etc. Can you talk a little bit about what that's like to work with? I mean, you know, generally a teenage experience for a lot of people is a negative one. You know, you're feeling much of it is biology. You're feeling things you can't control. And talk a little bit about how this applies.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, the teenage brain is a fascinating one. On the one hand, it is massive amount of creativity, of drive, of innovation, combined with a very low impulse control mechanism within their brain. So their emotional brain is running rampant, but at the same time, they have a tremendous amount of creativity, of innovation. And I know many of the teenagers that I come in contact with. On the one hand, we would say, yeah, they're not so philosophically looking for the meaning of life, but you do see this greater pull towards something bigger than themselves. And so I think that, again, fueling, this is where character becomes such an important thing, this idea of helping them know and name their strengths, because we all want to do well in the world. We want to be seen. And I think that definitely teenagers are wanting to know themselves. They're wanting to be seen. So while they might not be looking for necessarily tools for self-care, I mean, I remember myself as a high school student, I learned very quickly that it wasn't cool to be happy. So I really had to play down my that I actually loved my, while I had so many challenges in my life, I actually liked school and I loved to learn, and you couldn't share that you were actually happy because you had this persona you had to, hold up, which was, wear black and be pissed at the world. But I think that that the way that we can really nurture that in our teens and adolescents is to start noticing when they are doing things that emphasizes their character, noticing their strengths, celebrating, being really curious, what's that like for you? And help them get that feedback of mirroring that back to them. And what a beautiful gift we can give to people to really help them feel felt and to be seen. And as we mirror those things, and it's oh, wow, you see me. And in that process can really create that container for further growth and development.
Now, when as a parent, if you're saying to a teenager I see you, I imagine there's some legwork that has to be happen where they aren't just embarrassed and mad at you for saying something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you wouldn't come home to a big banner way to use your courage today, son. And so definitely one of the things that positive psychology offers is this opportunity to have people within the family take the character strengths questionnaire, have a shared language. oftentimes with our students, I say that, you know, you can blame your positive psychology teacher and just make it, you know, I have this homework assignment for my positive psychology class, which is everyone in the family needs to take this questionnaire, or the good old, my coach made me do it. You know, you need the little, you need the discomfort disclaimer that makes this okay. So oftentimes you need a reason, and that can be a safer way of introducing something. So it's like, hey, I need your help. I've got this assignment that I need to complete. Taking the questionnaire could be a good way to just kind of have a shared knowledge, and then being able to just notice or also ask questions. So, wow, that's, you know, amazing. I really see you using your creativity there. Or, you know, there's your strength of being a leader being applied there. So being able to notice, and also just being able to ask curious questions. Asking questions and getting to the meat of a conversation is something that we very naturally do when we criticize. You know, you wouldn't just say, oh, you know, can't believe you did that, you're dumb. You would be like, wow, what happened? What's going on? What do you need? We give a lot of energy and a lot of attention to the things that aren't working. And part of creating that container where, again, that discovery can happen is just ask those same really curious questions when things are working, to go, wow, that's great. Congratulations. What did you do? How did you make that happen? What's the best part of that? What do you need? How will you keep that going? What did you learn? And those type of curious questions that we can apply to the positive the same way we would naturally apply them to the negative.
Wonderful. That's a great place to finish, Emiliya. Thank you so much for your time today. And you can now in Australia go to sleep. Thank you for staying up to talk to us for so late.
Thank you.
Can you tell everybody a little bit more about where they can find out more about your work and the Flourishing Center?
Absolutely. Best place to check us out would be getcertifiedinpospsych.com. So www.getcertifiedinpospsych.com. And on there, you'll find a free introductory course to positive psychology and more information about our work.
Great. Thank you so much, Emiliya, and sleep well.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Enjoy the rest of Character Day.
Thanks. Bye.